All right, welcome to this conversation about personal purpose and nurtures our well-being. I am David Caballero, and I'm together with Lucely today and Elena Martín. And Luz and I are the founders of Evolving Education and your hosts of today's webinar. This session is part of the project NADYW, Nature and Awareness-Driven Well-Being for Youth Workers, an European project co-founded by the European Union focused on improving the well-being of youth workers. And the goal of this project is to take care of those who take care of others. So as part of it, we want to bring awareness about some key elements that can nurture our well-being so that we can become role models of well-being for youth. I think this is one of the key ways in which we can inspire new generations. And the 5 topics that we're going to be talking about are purpose, community, social media, trauma, and nature. Today, we're starting with purpose. Besides, each of the episodes is supported by a step-by-step guide so that you can move from awareness to action more easily. You can already find that guide in the description of this video if you are watching us on YouTube, or in NADYW's website if you are listening the podcast through a different channel.
Mm-hmm. And today's focus is going to be on purpose. How can purpose nurture our well-being? And for it, we have Elena Martín to join us. We had the opportunity to meet Elena in person a couple of years ago. But even before that, she has been supporting us, connecting us with more people, sharing the vision that another way of education is possible. So first, I just want to thank you, Elena, for all the support that you have been giving us during all this time. And Elena leads Idealis for the Spanish-speaking world. Idealis is a non-for-profit organization dedicated to connecting people, ideas, organizations to spark inspiration for social action. And I'm completely sure that thousands of people will have found their passions and their purpose through this platform. Actually, for us in Evolving Education, Idealis has been a portal to connect with youth and people that were interested in contributing in good causes. For instance, we could actually translate the book of Derry Hannam, Another Way is Possible, through Connect. We translated from English to Spanish. And yeah, there were 5 volunteers that joined us and did the whole work. So we connected with them through Idealist. So it was, amazing experience. So Elena, we would like to know a little bit more about your journey. So if you could share a little bit about that, and also what does purpose means to you?
Well, first of all, thank you for this invitation. I'm so happy and honored to be here in this conversation. Yes, as you, Luz, mentioned, we met a few years ago, probably first online, but then we got the chance to meet in person. And well, you just fit so well into my world at Idealist. And I'm so happy to also hear you reporting about how Idealist has been helpful to you both and to your initiative for Evolving Education and everything that you are doing. So you are asking me about my journey, and it is a fascinating question. Like, we go so fast that we don't think about certain things until someone all of a sudden just boom, and you have to think, what's my journey? And I feel like for many years now, if I think about it, I've been not obsessed, but definitely very curious and very interested in how people act on their intentions. How there's so many people out there, especially in the social sector. And I always, since I was very young, I wanted to kind of put my knowledge, my education, my experience, like at the service of others and create impact. So on that journey, I actually was very interested on how come that some people see a problem, see an issue that bothers them, and immediately, like, I'm going to do something about it. And they just go and do it. They are doers, they are drivers, and they just like are full of energy and act. And some other people are just completely the opposite. And then there is this big amount of people in the world, which are not one or the other. But definitely, I feel like most of us, if you ask most people, well, do you want to do something that can create some positive impact around you? That can you contribute to do something in the world? You want to do it. most people actually want to do it, but they don't know how. So they find obstacles. They don't know where to go and look for an opportunity. They would love to do it, but they are kind of shy and they are alone, or they feel like they are lacking time or resources. So to me, all these years has been, I notice on the things that I read and the things that I've been studying and the things that I've been doing, is all about how can we help more to actually find ways to turn their ideas or their intention into action, or just find a way to actually do something and start the ball rolling. Because when you start, things happens. When you just get stuck, nothing ever happened. And in this journey, I guess at some point over a decade ago, I found this job at idealist.org, which is still where I remain these days. And I actually work exactly doing that. The mission of Idealist is how do we bridge the gap between intention and action, and help and support more people to connect with those resources, people, organizations, opportunities that will allow them to explore and to connect with something that gives them purpose and meaning. And I guess when you're asking me what purpose is for me, it is about that. It's about meaning. It is about why am I doing what I'm doing, and does that make any sense? Like it fulfills me, or it gives me empty. And if you feel empty, maybe you have to kind of reassess what you are doing. So it is about that. It's about feeling the meaning instead of feeling lost. I definitely feel like there are a lot of people doing a lot of things and they feel lost. So there is a disconnect in there. So how in my case, how can I help more of those to find something that is more in sync with who they are?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Fantastic. Yeah, it's precisely that to know it's a compass to let you to keep, so you can keep walking in that direction.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that every time there's more and more people that are questioning this. That it's not just about what job am I going to have or how am I going to survive, but how can I do something that is meaningful to my life? And I feel like the more that we have already all these amazing technologies that already allow us to live like they really can sustain quite an abundance life on Earth. And I'm pretty certain that we have way more than we need already. That more people are thinking about how can I find something that's truly meaningful to my life, and I can make out of that my way of living. And even though that might sound like very idealistic, like idealist, but it actually works. and as you said, like the more I ask people and I talk people about these things, I find that everyone is kind of convinced that there's a different way of doing things that is way more meaningful. But somehow it takes a while to take that step, to actually get out of your comfort zone of what it feels safe, perhaps, and then entering into that quest, almost a quest first for internal insights, but also a quest to get to know what's out there. Because a lot I think of about finding purpose is finding yourself in the differences, in having different experiences in different contexts, because it's hard to know exactly what you want, but it's easy to know what you don't want. So through those experiences you start figuring out what's the next step. So I would love to hear some of those stories of people that you have connected with through Idealist that thanks to these connections, they have found more of their purpose and their meaning. And I can start even sharing one from one volunteer that we had, actually, that she was really good in social media. She worked professionally already on it for companies and so on, but she wanted to support the social sector. And through Idealist, we got to connect with her. She advised us on our social media strategy, how to generate contents, and so on. We were like together for maybe 3 months or so that she helped us. Then we disconnected a little bit, and about half a year later or so, we received an email from her saying, thank you for that experience that I had working with you, because as we were working together, I realized how this purpose, how this passion for doing something looks like. And I realized that I didn't have that I was having a job, but I didn't have a passion. And I'm now changing into fashion design, which We don't do it. She didn't do it before, but was just seeing people that were truly passionate about what they were doing. It started her quest into thinking, what am I truly passionate about, and how can I make that my way of living? And in this case, it wasn't necessarily connecting with the social sector, although the fact that she was already an idealist kind of already plant the seeds that she probably has that intention of how to make it sustainable or how to connect with people in vulnerable conditions. But she's definitely now a little bit closer into living a more purposeful life. So that's one story that I can share of our connection with people finding their purpose.
Yeah, that is wonderful. And you are mentioning so many relevant things. And now I see also how purpose and passion are connected, I guess. And something that, besides many things that I do, for a long time, I was writing a lot on our blog. And people were very engaged with posts that had to do with passion. But there was also a level of frustration. So when you ask people what's your passion, not necessarily you're going to know. So you are pointing out something very important, which is expose yourself out there. Like allow yourself to connect with things, with experiences, with people that maybe it seems like it's not your thing, but you will learn things if you are there and you're curious and you want to read the signals, because that's what will give you the hint of what that purpose is. So either for purpose or for passion, it is not a destination, it's a journey. So you are sharing this story of this volunteer, and I feel like that's the case for so many people that I've been talking through the years. And if you're asking me about examples, and also it would be good to just have like a metric. I was thinking it would be good to have this metric, like people just reporting back, I found my purpose because I just someday found idealist. It's not a case, but definitely there are plenty of stories. I'm thinking about this woman in Argentina. There is this organization in Denmark. The project is called the Human Library. They are a nonprofit. And I don't know if people know about them. I love what they do. It's really powerful. It's about prejudice and how they sit together, two people. As you read a book, you can read a person. So what is your prejudice? And I'm going to bring someone and you're going to talk to that person. So I think immigrants are in my country and they are just stealing all the jobs from locals. All right, well, that's your prejudice. Sit here and read this book. He's an immigrant or she's an immigrant. So I love that initiative. I wrote about it, and someone in Argentina, that sparked something in her. And she decided that she was going to create an event with her own context in Argentina and the past, kind of like dark history past of Argentina, and put together people that otherwise will never talk to each other because of the historical facts that we know. And I don't know where else that went, but I feel like, yeah, because she read that, she just allowed herself to try to do something that was meaningful for her. So that's one story. There are so many others. Like this a kid, when I met him, he was like 16, 17 years old. And he loved volunteering. He was in Guatemala City. And he used to cross the Guatemala City bus station, and he saw people like other kids like him who were just doing nothing, like no jobs, no, they were not going to school, and in some cases just up to no good, unfortunately, because of their context. And he decided that he was going to do something about it, and actually started to invite them to come with him and volunteer with him. He used to go to an elderly home to just keep company to some people there, and he started to invite them. And at the beginning there was some resistance, but then they started to go with him. And one went and came back, and he was excited. And the other one's like, I don't want to miss out because I also want to belong. They were looking for belonging and looking for purpose, and that is what he gave them. that was fascinating, and that story just like create a lot of people kind of like got very inspired. It's like, well, if someone who has nothing can have something to give to others, I can also find a way to give something to others and find my way, also my purpose, like where do I belong. So I guess, yes, there is not a cause effect, but there are a lot of different pieces that can, you never know when you are doing something or saying something that is going to make someone think beyond where they are and start kind of sparking something good to move forward.
Yeah, completely. And this reminds me actually I started in education actually because I did volunteer programs. Like before I studied biotechnology, so I was in the science doing science in the lab. So I was completely on that world. But then there was this thing inside me that was, but I'm really passionate about working with kids. I'm really passionate about education. But then since I have studied biotechnology, it was like, no, I cannot leave that path. And then I was going to do some volunteer programs in Guatemala, in Peru, and those experiences were the ones that end up changing my life and the full direction, and deciding, hey, wait 1 second, what does make me really happy? Because yes, science is interesting and I enjoy it, but there is something in me that is way more alive when I am facilitating with children. So it was like, okay, I think my passion is going to is going in another direction, and my purpose is going to another direction, because I always have this thing of, oh, education can really change the world. But that was so scary. However, those volunteer programs and those experiences it was just kind of like give me the hand to take the next step, and then the next step, until it was unavoidable. I was doing something that was my passion, and it was aligned to that purpose. But at the beginning, it was really scary. So if I wouldn't have that opportunities that accompany me, then maybe I would still be in the lab.
Well, yeah, you just said something important. At the beginning, it was really scary. And behind all the people who get stuck and don't move is probably a fear. Like there is always some fear behind. So what's your fear? And I always feel like if you fear something, that's a good reason to go and try. So yeah, because we live in this universe of what we know, and not until we just go beyond that, we're going to explore something that we don't know. So we know what we know, but in order to learn and to explore something that we don't know, we have to overcome those fears. So find the way, and yes, it is hard, and also you don't have to do it alone. Like reach out to someone who already have done it. Go and find your tribe. Like who else is doing this? I don't know. Like there was this Colombian guy who moved to the United States, and he was telling me, like, if you see where my town is about, it's just there are only cows around, and I just gonna do something else. And he ended up moving to the United States. Don't tell me how he did it, because it's not easy. And he ended up doing car washing and car parking. He was parking cars in Boston. And one day, this guy come and give the keys of the car. And in the car, there was the sticker, Columbia University. And he told this person, well, sir, one day I want to go to that university. And the guy said, I don't think you are ever going to go there. Well, that was all he needed to actually make it happen. He ended his career has been amazing and everything with impact. And he ended up going to Columbia University, getting a grant, which is very, very difficult. But you don't know what can be sparking your passion and your purpose, and just go and follow through. And if it's hard, even better. It's scary, but then when you make it, then you're stronger. So
Yeah, and it's exactly what you said about exposing to different experiences, different people. The guy actually that made me completely shift. It went for the fears. It's like,
Uh-huh.
um, th- actually that the interaction was what made me realize, oh, um, yeah, like if to do the thing, maybe I'll tell the story, because if not, it doesn't make
Go.
sense. So there was this guy he was volunteering in Guatemala with a lot of kids in the middle of the jungle. And he when I asked him about his life, he was in the US Army before. And I asked him, like, why were you in the US Army and now you are here? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And then he was like, when I was really small, when I was young, people all that I thought I was really a coward, that I was scared of everything. So I joined the army so I could overcome all these fears. And I was like, okay, and did you manage? And he was like, no, fear does never disappear. You just have to embrace it. And that sentence for me, it was
Wow.
the change, because it was like, okay, if fear is always gonna be there, then maybe I don't have to pay any attention to it and go for it. So that was for me the click that make evolving education start. Pretty much, that was like,
Mhm.
I'm really grateful to that man. Still, sometimes I send him messages like, "Thank you, because you broke the fears I have with that sentence."
Mm.
I love stories.
And,
I
and
can
this
tell
is,
you so many others, but this is great.
I think this is very connected to the kind of the way that we look at education innovation in evolving education. That is not let's transform education completely from one day to the next, because that feels very scary, particularly when we're working with young people and children. We want the best for them, and even though we know that there's a massive shift that needs to happen in education, exactly how to do it and in which direction, it can be very scary. So it's all about what's the next step that you can take. How can we make a small experiment so that you learn from that experience and take another one and another one. And I think in purpose is the same thing. The journey that took us to create evolving education started with Luz in an orphanage in the middle of the jungle in Guatemala, and having this small interaction and listening to the children and seeing the level of coercion that there was there, and then realizing that that was replicated in conventional schools, and thinking this has to be a different way. How can we really bring empowerment to young people? So, and this multiplied through lots of tiny steps. And many people ask me lately, now that the organization is a little bit working and so on, it's like, oh, but what was the spark? What was the trigger point? And I look back and it's like there's tons of them. It's not like one,
Mhm.
blow up and then suddenly everything happened perfectly. No, it's been tons of tiny steps, many of them downwards and some upwards, some in different directions, some completely changing direction, and up to this point, and it will continue this way. Like I'm certain that if we talk in 2 years from now, we're going to be doing things quite differently, just because the world keeps evolving, our lives keep evolving. So I love what you said, that purpose is a journey. It's not that it's a destination. We do need a sense of direction, some values, some guiding light about towards where we want to go, but then the specifics can actually vary a lot. And that's a really good realization, that we don't really need to, be so kind of narrow in the definition of our purpose.
Yeah, something that is ever changing also. And we are interested also in how having a purpose can nurture our well-being. No, where is the connection there? So maybe we can discuss a little bit about this.
Purpose and well-being. Well, I guess the way purpose connects with well-being is because it's almost a bridge that creates meaning. And when there is meaning, you feel grounded. And when you feel grounded, you feel that you can probably accomplish everything and anything. So that can be one reason. So many others. I also feel like you cannot create purpose in a vacuum. You gotta connect with something out there beyond yourself. And then if you are out there and you're experiencing the world and you are connecting with other people, then that social interaction, which we are kind of retrieving to. I don't know what is happening. Well, many things are happening, but the fact that you have to be out there and you have to be connecting with people and exposing yourself probably is a piece that is very important in order to just sustain your well-being. The more isolated we are, the less happy we seem to be. And that's what it seems to be happening. So purpose, in a way, kind of pulled you out of your vacuum and put you out there in the world. And that itself, I feel like, can be a good reason to feel that those two are connected. But besides that, research has been proving that there is a connection. Like people who report that they have a purpose in life, they live longer, they are happier, they have a better, like they have better health, they're more resilient, they have more hope. And there are many studies proving that. Also, if you go much farther, then other things appear, and we will probably talk about that. But I'm thinking about research that we did over a decade ago. So it's not really updated, but I believe that is probably still relevant. We had this, we created this research with actually an organization in Spain connected with idealists. The study was called Felicidad, and it was the connection between happiness and doing good in the world. And of course, like, yes, people who were doing good reported to be happier than people who were not doing anything to create positive impact out in the world. But like two things that I remember from that, many other conclusions, but one was that people who were doing something purposely and trying to do good in the world were more hopeful about the future. So they have more hope about the future. And also they felt like they were more responsible and felt more in control of what it was possible. So I guess, once again, it's a loop. If you do and then you see the results, then you are going to feel more confident that the future will be better. And then if you feel that the future will be better, you will be more driven to keep doing. So that to me was very interesting. And we get to choose. You can just see that the world is falling apart and just feel sorry about yourself and think that everything is a mess, or find a way that you can actually connect and start creating something. Then maybe you will feel more hopeful. Like, no one is going to come and solve the issues. This is a collective effort.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Yeah, and I love these 2 points that stayed with me. One about that sense of belonging and community, and I always say that this is one of the key reasons why I do this job, because through it I get to be in connection and in collaboration and become friends with such amazing people that I feel like their heart doesn't fit in their chest. And this is like, that's been the true transformation for me, has been while researching innovation in education, finding these amazing people. It's like, I want to be friends with you and with you and with you. It's like, okay, I want to be part of this community of people that believe that the world can be a better place and that are actively doing something about it. So that's for me, it's a really good reason to get into social innovation, education, or really anything that you're really contributing to the world. And the other one, as I said, is right now there seems to be this pessimistic view of the world, that we're going down, that there was I don't know, a different epoch. The past always looks more shiny than the present, and the future is completely doomed. And also talking with friends and family, there seems to be this view that we're just going down. But when I go back to the people I work with, our collaborators, for instance, Social Innovators Bulgaria, in this project about youth well-being, youth workers well-being, it's a different feeling, because since we are working on that change, we believe that a better future is possible because we are working towards it. We are actively contributing to it. And not just me, but I'm aware of the many other people and organizations and the many diverse ways. I'm aware of different ways of living, of communities that are sustainable, of people working in different ways of transportation, cleaning water, really in all sorts of ways. There's just this plethora, this huge diversity of people and approaches who are really thriving into making their life meaningful through doing something meaningful for the world. And I think they're really combined. Like, I think before I have this thing, I had to change the world. And I was like, I'm having a the happiest life I feel I can have through doing something meaningful. But it's kind of, they're so interconnected that I don't know really what goes first. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're making me think it's almost like they're two different worlds co-living with each
Yeah.
other. Because I remember when I used to live abroad. I lived abroad for 12 years. And one of the times that I came back to Spain, I'm from Spain, from Madrid, and I used to like, okay, so where are my people? What is my people here? Where are my people here in Madrid? And I started to identify places where I could find that type of people. At some point, ups and downs of the economy, moments of crisis, everybody was having a really tough time. And for those who I probably met for a long time, some people, it was just about like, this is awful. Everything was a catastrophe. And they were like not happy and talking about the same things over and over again. And then I used to go to these places where people who are actually doing things, trying to create a positive impact, are hanging. And they did not have time to complain or to talk about how bad things were. They were so enthusiastic about whatever they were pursuing. And of course, it was not easy. It is not easy to kind of like try to solve problems, and the problems are bigger and bigger every day, it seems. But just by doing something, the vibe was so different. And it was striking to me. It's like, wow, it's almost like there are two Spains. Like this Spain is totally like depressed, and this one is like they are living the best time of their lives just because they are actually trying to contribute and create something. So once again,
and it's interesting that nothing of this is real. Like it's all lives in our minds. Like it's not that people working in social innovation, all of them are super rich and have all their lives sorted out. Exactly the opposite. Actually,
no,
they probably
exactly
have a way higher level of uncertainty. We certainly do in our lives, but abundance is a perception. It's not a reality. Abundance is about how you feel, and this feeling of satisfaction, it makes the whole difference. So just to quote some of the research, because there's, as you mentioned, there's so much about this. For instance, the research that links purpose with a greater satisfaction in life, like having more positive emotions, fewer negative ones. This is actually validated by science. People with a strong sense of purpose also experience less stress, less anxiety, less depression, because it acts as a psychological anchor. Through adversity, you know what's the direction that you want to go, and that makes a big difference from just not knowing exactly what really guides your life. And then also those having a clear why kind of allows, because of all of this perseverance. And because everything that we do is really hard. I know that the challenges that we're talking about are not going to be solved even within my lifetime. I'm completely certain about it. But that doesn't mean that I cannot do something meaningful about it and have a long-term vision. So yeah, I feel it's quite fulfilling. And we tried to put together some of these tips, some of these questions, and even research in this PDF guide, step-by-step guide that you can download. People that are watching this in the YouTube description as well, if you want to go a bit deeper as well into the research about this.
Maybe I can add something else there, and is that there is also like the indigenous in the research that they have been also doing in indigenous communities. There was one particular part in which they consider that a human need is actually to have meaning and to know that you can have to do good to the people that is surrounding you. So that also gives me a lot of hope that it's kind of part of human nature that we do good to our community and to support each other and help each other. That makes us feel happy, and so then per se I have this positivity, believing that in general people have good intentions and they can do good in the world. And that makes me like, here something important is that we can choose. No, we can choose what we want to believe and what we want to do in our lives. We don't have to completely follow, because the news and all this information take us in one particular direction, and I know that it's really powerful and it creates a lot of pressure but we can choose. We can choose what to believe, what to do, what people are we gonna go together with, who are we gonna meet, and that way we can decide consciously to keep ourselves in environments that make us feel hopeful and live a more satisfactory and happy life. Like, we don't have to go through all the bad things.
And we got here a comment and a question, I think, from Iana. Actually, she's part of Social Innovators Bulgaria, and she asked about purpose, whether it's something that is forever or if it changes with time.
Well, I definitely feel that it can change. We were talking about exposure in ourselves into new realities, into territories that we haven't explored, and kind of start nurturing with new things and viewing things in different ways. So I don't know if it changes, but it definitely keeps to keep shaping the way purpose take you to where you want to go, and that is okay.
Yeah, I find like, yes, it's just language sometimes I feel is almost limiting in the way of expressing these things
I agree.
that are kind of visionary, or even almost spiritual in a way. Like, I feel like this sense of direction in life, that at the moment is that it's about how to make the world a better place, and at the moment is through education, and mostly through supporting adults to develop the skills and mindset to be able to better support young people. And that's kind of a very broad aspect that it can be explored in so many different ways. Like right now, it's about inspiring well-being practices, but it can take so many different shapes and forms. But also that doesn't mean that that purpose cannot shift. And at some point, I want to work in regenerating land, for instance, so that it becomes more fertile, because I also feel a connection with nature, for instance. So it's just about, I think for me, it's like purpose having this sense of direction, long-term direction, understanding that there are many paths that go in that direction and many possible ways in which I can experience that.
Yeah, it's like a net, because you just keep moving, and of course you're going to be running into more things that are going to be kind of nurturing your journey. Since we're talking about that journey, and it's not that you're shifting, you're kind of adding pieces, adding value, adding like to make it even better.
Yeah. But still, we know that that we are talking right now, we know that it's quite rare. Like, actually, I was talking. I'm right now visiting my family in my hometown, and I was connecting with some friends from primary school, and I was telling them a little bit about what I do and so on. They were like, you're pretty weird. I mean, in the sense that, it's pretty unique what you're describing here. These things of having a direction and doing something meaningful. This is not the normal thing. The normal thing is to feel absolutely lost, not to know what to do with your life. Ending high school, being asked to choose, now you have to go to study a university degree, otherwise we term you failure, right? And then in addition to that, now choose without ever having experience in your life, real life, because you have been contained into a kind of an artificial environment created in schools, what do you want to do for the rest of your life. And then you do it, go through university, feeling equally lost, end up university, and it's like, can I do a master or just continuing a study somehow, because I really don't know what I want to do with my life. And that feeling of, and then if you talk with employers about what's their top worries, and if you look at some of these consulting companies, kind of list of worries of top managers and so on, one of the top ones is people's motivation. So it's like, if you talk with teachers, they're worried about students' motivations. If you talk with employers about workers' motivations, because they're feeling lost. They don't know what they want to do. They are just there because they have to. And that's a massive difference from doing something that you're willing to do and you're passionate about. So I'm thinking about whether we can give we have already mentioned some tips about people that feel this way, taking one first step, volunteer in some organization, start having experiences, figuring out what you don't want to do. But maybe any other ideas that could help someone that is in this position, some tips to help particularly young people that feel lost, having a clear life direction?
Yeah, well, definitely for us adults, working with younger people, I feel like just bringing this conversation to the table is already relevant. Nobody asked me, what's your purpose in life? If maybe someone would have brought that to the table and started discussion in a classroom, well, that could have been the beginning of something more, I want to say strategic, but I don't like that word, but in a way, yeah, like it gives you the opportunity to start thinking about the things that you don't think, because it is true what you're saying, David. Like following is easier than asking yourself the hard questions. So asking those hard questions can be actually a really relevant exercise for them. And what I would say is, yeah, don't if you feel lost, first of all, start asking yourself some question. I am a person who asks a lot of questions, but I do feel like it is important. So for those feeling lost, okay, so what makes you feel alive? What makes you feel that motivates you, that you want to do more of? What is it that is out there that is bothers you so much that you'd love to do something about it? And then if you can identify something, don't just stay there. Take some action, which is what we were saying. Because I always feel like just ideas are not results, but ideas plus action that will create results. So then put something in action. And it can be, well, if you feel like you are studying architecture, but you love animals and you don't want to drop your studies because you already invested 2 years or 3 years, but you love animals, well, start maybe volunteer at an animal shelter and see how it feels. And maybe at some point you're going to connect with someone who will give you another path. So do something about it. You can volunteer. You can start a side project on your own about something that you really like. Go where those people who are doing what you love doing are. Start connecting with them. This thing that you are the average of the 5 people that you mostly just spend time with, or like you are affected by, is true. Like if you are keeping yourself small with the same people that you always were and is comfortable, all right, well, you're going to be the average of those people. But if you kind of dream about something bigger and you don't think it's possible, well, start like putting yourself out there and start surrounding yourself with those who are actually doing that thing that you love doing. And that's what this Colombian person did. And he's like, no, I just want to do something bigger, and I want to be around people who are doing things that I love doing. And he just put himself there, and now he's there. He's there.
And also, I find what you said of something that you're kind of frustrated or angry about, and I find some difference in between Luz and I, and particularly like in education. I think we have 2 different triggers of why we feel so passionate about this topic. In the case of Luz, it's more kind of being angry about why there are not more children that have access to these amazing opportunities that already exist in learning communities, in alternative schools all around the world. It's just being angry that this exists and these students don't have access to it. And in my case, it's almost the opposite. It's being inspired by what's already possible, by meeting these people, by knowing about these projects. Like, wow, this is amazing. I want to be part of it. So yeah, there's also realizing that we have different drives, we have different triggers, and it might be that for some people it's a sense of belonging, for some others is kind of fighting against something, for others is being part of a movement. Just find what is your drive, and step by step, as we were saying before, not thinking that needs to be the definitive thing. It doesn't need to be forever. It doesn't even need to be your job. I think this is also something to bring up, that we're not just talking here about that you need to make your purpose your job. If you can do that, okay, that's a valid possibility. But your purpose can be connected with more than that. Your purpose can be connected with your family, with taking care of your parents when they get older. It can be connected with making your neighborhood a more welcoming and diverse space. It can be connected with so many things. So yeah, kind of expanding that sense of purpose, I think, is also something that we need, so that we don't just stay stuck in that productivity mindset, no? Of before it was I need to make a lot of money and promote a lot. Now I need to have a lot of impact. Otherwise, I cannot be happy. And that's also like a race that is very hard to to keep up with.
And maybe something more about the tips. There is that question that we ask, no, is what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Wow, that's tough. I would ask myself, what do I want to do next? Like, maybe that reduces a lot the heaviness of that possible answer, because then we know that if we don't like it, we can shift and do something else. And another thing that comes to my mind is listen to ourselves. I think that there is a lot of things that our body and our minds tells us, and then sometimes we completely ignore. So when you're passionate, when you feel the energy, those are good. That's a direction you can keep going. And so being aware of what our body tells us is a lot of information already. And connected to what David was saying there, there is another thing that happens when we marry too much. Well, not marry too much, but when we are the self-demand of our purpose. Sometimes we ask for ourselves too much, and it becomes heavy. No, like people working in the social sector, including in the education, are at particular risk of suffering burnout and, in general, neglecting their well-being in the service of others. I think that it actually also have happened to me. In like at some point working in evolving education, I think I have become kind of a slave of my own purpose, because I am really passionate about what I'm doing. However, I am not taking any rest. I'm not respecting myself. So it became draining at some point. So how can we balance having a purpose in life with having a healthy life?
Well, it's funny because I'm listening to you and going back to the beginning of our conversation, and how purpose kind of connects you with something beyond you and with outside, with others, with something that is meaningful. I guess is when it connects you so much with the outside that it starts disconnecting you from yourself, that then there is a problem. And you're right, like even when we feel it, we don't pay attention. So I guess what do we do about that? And we know, and again, research also show how there is also that connection between purpose and burnout, especially in those jobs where people are helping people. And definitely educators is a big one. I think I read some survey, I think it was Gallup, and it was over 40% of educators reported to be like in constant burnout or overwhelm. So basically that's the life of over 40% of people who love teaching and who love education, but they live with that burden. So what we do about it? Once again, there are no true answers. It's whatever works for each of us. And sometimes we have to learn the hard way, unfortunately. But there are things that we can do. And I'm sure, like, if I ask you, what would you do? You probably have had to make some decisions and did some decisions and hopefully found more balance. But one big one for me is setting boundaries. Learn how to say no. And that for us givers, it's hard to say no sometimes. So how do we start setting boundaries? If it's very hard to say no, find a way to not say no, but maybe keep a buffer between saying yes and giving an answer. So if it's too much, you don't say yes to everything. You is like, okay, let me just reassess the situation. I'm going to think about it, and then let's see if I can take over this too. That's one, and another one is asking for help. It's so hard to ask for help. Delegating. Who else can help? Like, we were also talking about how so many people, if they know something that they can do, and they have no idea, but they can do something that is helpful for others, they will be so happy to help. That's the easy way. They don't know what to do, but if you give them something to do, they will happily do it. So volunteers, like, you didn't have to do the social media thing. There was someone who was happy to actually contribute, and it was a win-win. So definitely delegating, and something else when it comes to just being exhausted, and it makes me feel like the fields when farmers just are in the field, and they just crop after crop every year. From time to time, they have to leave the soil rest. It's almost to keep being productive. So if we want to keep doing good, at some point there is part of us that we need to just prevent and not keep doing. We have to give ourselves a rest. And if that is a problem, we're so good at scheduling things on a calendar. Well, schedule time for you. So many things that we schedule for, to do our mission and to do our purpose. Well, well-being is part of our purpose. Our own well-being is part of our purpose. So it should be part of our agenda, the things that we do.
Wonderful.
And celebrate. Like, we are so good at filling the gap of what we are missing. What is it that we have accomplished? And we all accomplish things, bigger or smaller. That also has a value. So acknowledge that. I think is also something that can help.
Yeah, lots of good tips. Lots of good tips there to find that balance. And yeah, it's just so I think this is an area where there's so much that needs to be done. I think you have talked several things about how to take some kind of saying no to some of this heavy weight that you start putting on yourself of all day, an ending list of things to do, how to manage that better, saying no, setting some time for rest, in the calendar as well. I really like that, because then for me, the things on the calendar is like they really happen. So if I put it in the calendar, it's for real. No, it's surprising, but it works this way. And I also find something else is that the same that we put a lot of energy into so many things that we're passionate about, we should be also passionate about our own well-being, and our well-being needs a special care, right? So if I want to be well, then it's not just about taking off some pieces of work or managing work in a different way. It's also about investing into my well-being. So what well-being practices am I putting there? How am I sure that, for instance, I'm eating healthy, so that on a daily basis, I don't have just these peaks of sugar and stimulants and different chemicals that are not designed to do good to our bodies, right? How am I going to make sure that I have the rest that I need? How am I going to make sure that I cultivate my sense of presence, so that I can really be focused and enjoy what I'm doing in this moment, and not with my mind worrying me about the past and the future and everything that never existed and will never exist, but only exists in my imagination. So all these things are not going to happen by itself, because the world right now is not designed for this to happen by itself. It's designed in the opposite way, right? The largest budgets for marketing are not for healthy products, are for unhealthy products. They are the most addictive ones, for instance, in food industry. So if you want to, for instance, take care of your food or eating habits, you're going to have to invest time and energy into it. If you want to invest into your rest, there's going to be lots of things that try to attract your attention towards one screen one way or another. And so if you want to go to bed early, that's a conscious decision that you can make. To just, I think this is one first step, is realizing that this is within your power. This is within your realm of control. Of the things that you can do is taking care of your well-being. Once you start being aware of that, you can start choosing what you want to do, what you don't want to do, and what new habits you want to integrate in your life. And this is something that in this PDF guide complementing this webinar we have added, is to help you think a little bit of what can you do on a daily basis that is simple, that is aligned with your values, with your daily rhythm, that really helps your well-being as a step one. And then we can build up from there.
Yeah, I was gonna add, I really like yeah, in a world where productivity and efficiency is like the most important thing, and we are constantly on a rush, which sometimes is like, which rush? Why are we running so much? But anyways, I think that resting is an act of revolution. It's like, okay, I'm gonna take care of myself, and that is gonna make sure that I keep doing the things I'm passionate about. And one thing that I have implemented is, or I'm implementing now, is asking myself, am I enjoying this? Because when I stop enjoying, then is I really need to rest. Like I have gone like because it's really hard to maintain the balance all the time. So whenever I don't enjoy it, that tells me, hey, you have done too much. You're prioritizing other things. So now please focus on resting a little bit more, so you have energy and you top up to keep going in life. Yeah, I think that was I think that sentence for me is really helping me to stop, because if not I get too excited and keep going.
Mm-hmm. Is there something that you do, Elena, that you find helpful for your own well-being?
Sure. I love that you said, Luz, and identifying our red flags. So when is it that, like, oh, red flag, what should I do now instead of keep moving? I feel like something that helps me a lot lately, and I feel like I need more and more of that, is actually find space for quiet and for silence, and for a long time and quiet time. It's like there is so much noise, good and bad. Even if the noise is good, it's like you keep filling the cup, and all of a sudden you are like overloading. Finding that space for quiet and for allowing yourself to connect with you, not with everything that is happening outside, is very important to me. Like, yes, the world demands a lot from us, and we kind of buy into that. And I used to go for walks, and I just grab the phone and find a podcast and put the headphones on and go for a walk. Oh, maybe I'm going to learn something new. I want to hear this. This sounds interesting. Now I go for a walk and I don't want to hear anything. I'm not talking on the phone. I'm not listening to a podcast. Because when you stop listening what is happening outside, you start listening what is happening inside you. And I feel like we don't do that enough. So that is not actually wasting time, just like not doing and just keeping like your head quiet. That is actually what is going to give you probably the next key to how do you have to rearrange your world to actually find the balance that you are missing.
Thank you so much, Elena. That was wonderful to find that quietness within us. It's a great way, I think, to wrap up, and also that connection with purpose, because in that quietness is where we can hear what's really driving us forward and what's our guiding light. As an invitation for anyone that is listening that wants to go a bit deeper after this conversation, I invite you to go to that guide where you can explore a little bit more about purpose through some guided journaling, so that you can answer your own questions for yourself. You can gift yourself that time to reflect, and then how that purpose can be connected to your well-being.
Yeah, and I really like that ending, because it's true. It's like there is so much outside, and our attention is all the time drawn to the outside world, and then how do we do that trip back to the inside and really listen to ourselves? Because if we listen to ourselves, we probably will find many things that keep us that keep our well-being. Yeah. So yeah, also I invite you to use that guide and let us know how it goes, if those questions are helpful, and if supports you to keep working on your well-being. Yeah. And thank you very much, Elena, for the time that you have spent with us and to share all your stories and the
My
knowledge.
pleasure.
It's amazing, and thank you for making that really clear, the inside, what is inside us.
From the inside out and not the other way around.
Yeah. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See you in the next one, where we'll
Bye-bye.
focus on community.
Community is the next one. Yes.
Okay.